I feel like it'll get annoying if I do this for the whole video. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I know I've been MIA for over a month, and I also know that I have no hair. Basically, I'm coming to you guys very raw, and I am ready to talk about this topic. I have been putting off this topic since I was diagnosed, and I just didn't think that I would be able to film this video, and that's why I've been putting it off. I've also been MIA for so many weeks because I just didn't have the motivation. I didn't have the physical energy to pull myself together and just film a video. And if you've seen me in the past, if you saw me at prom or if you saw me at school yesterday for graduation practice, I am very upbeat and very happy. That's naturally how I am when I'm around people. Today I wanted to share with you guys the in-depth how I found out I had cancer. One of the main reasons I didn't want to post this really or talk about it is because anytime I think of the in-depth story behind how I found out I had cancer, I basically relive all of the emotions and the feelings that I felt when I heard the news from the doctor. I feel that I owe it to you guys to tell you the story because I know a lot of people were curious about it and really want me to talk about it. So without further ado, I don't want to keep you guys waiting. Let's do this. I'm going to be telling you basically what led up to my diagnosis and basically just talk about it, how and why it came to that. So let's just start there. So basically this was about, I want to say, about a month before I was diagnosed. I decided that I wanted to see my dermatologist and go on to Accutane, which if you don't know what Accutane is, it's basically this acne medication that you take that dries out your skin by basically stopping the oil production, which makes you not break out, I guess. You have to get your blood tested to make sure you're not pregnant, your liver's fine, your white blood cells are at a normal amount, and basically make sure that you are ready to go on to this medication. That same week, like later that week, I think, we went in and got my blood drawn and went home. A few days later, they said that I needed to come back in and get it taken again, and I was like, okay. We went back in and got it tested again, and a few days later they called my mom. They basically said everything was fine, but my white blood cell count was abnormally high, which basically means that my body was fighting something. So we went back in and got my blood drawn again, and the same thing came up. Everything else was fine, but my white blood cell count was abnormal. My dermatologist was starting to get kind of confused and wanted to make sure that everything was fine because it was so weird that every single time it came back that my white blood cells were really high. She decided to send it to the oncologist, which are basically the blood doctors, and have them further evaluate my blood tests and my blood and just figure out what the hell was going on with my white blood cells. When they called my mom and basically were like telling her, we need you to come in, we're going to talk to you about what Kiki's blood results indicated. So my mom told me, okay, so we have to go in on Tuesday morning, and I was like, but my birthday's on Tuesday. The next day I wasn't at school because I was leading a retreat for the freshman class at my high school, and I went there, and the whole day I was very out of energy. Like, for some reason I was just emotionally drained. I basically, for that like 7 or 8 hour retreat, I was basically just like, wow, why am I so emotionally drained right now? Like, I don't know why, but I had a headache for like a while, and I was really confused about it. I was like, why the heck is this happening? But I felt really bad pressure, as if my brain was swollen. Like, it was horrible, and I didn't know why because I had never felt that way before. Like, it was really like insanely scary. So basically, my birthday was the next day, which was my 18th birthday, and I woke up super happy. I put on makeup for the first time in like 3 months. I was ready to go, and I was really excited to just enjoy my 18th birthday. But I also knew that we had to go to the doctor first. We go onto the 6th floor. We which is basically the cancer care unit slash oncology. Before we even got into that little waiting area, there it said on above it said cancer care unit, and right when I saw that, I was like, this is not going to be good. So about 15 minutes goes by, and we finally get called in, and we go in and sit in this little room. And then one of the doctors came in and said, Dr. So-and-so will be in about 5 minutes. And finally, the doctor comes in, and she sits down, and she has like an assistant with her. They basically pulled up on the monitor the results of my blood test, and we're pointing to things and talking about things like white blood cell count, red blood cell count, like platelets and stuff like that, and they were just talking. And she was talking in a very, like, I don't know if this is the right word, a very implicit way, I guess. She didn't say it straight up, she was kind of implying it, and I started to tear up, and I said, I have cancer? She goes, I don't remember a lot of it. I didn't know what else to do at that point except for just lay on that hospital bed and just cry. My aunt and my mom just basically saying it's gonna be okay, and the doctors in front of me were just like waiting for the right moment to talk, and it was, I do remember laying there, and I remember crying and feeling extremely helpless. I don't think I've ever felt that helpless in my entire life. I can't explain how horrible it feels to hear something and not be able to do anything about it. But I do remember looking up at my parents and just be like, am I gonna die? Like, just asking that over and over again. And just looking up at them saying, am I gonna die? Because cancer is terrifying, and you don't know what's gonna happen. And it just, that's not something any parent wants to hear from their child, is, am I going to die? And your child has cancer is not something a parent wants to hear. That's not anything my aunt wants to hear about her niece. That's not anything my grandpa wants to hear about his granddaughter. But honestly, why wouldn't I ask that question? Honestly, that was just the only thing that came to mind, and I knew that there wasn't any way that I could turn back the clock and wish or pray or just make it not happen, basically. I'm back. I cleaned myself up a little, but honestly, I'm probably going to start crying in like 2 seconds. Anyway, it was definitely a blur, to be honest. I mean, after that, we went down the hall, kind of, and went into this place. I think it was called a conference room. The doctor's assistant that was with her, the other doctor, the one that wasn't really talking, but was sitting there, he was just explaining to us basically what the roadmap was. That's what it's called for each phase, is roadmap. He basically started to say, like, certain things, but honestly, I was, like, crying. I was like in shock still that I wasn't processing anything. I just sat in that meeting basically and was just sitting there. I wasn't even there. It was basically like it was just a shell of me. Like, I wasn't talking, I wasn't saying anything. The only thing I said was, am I gonna lose my hair? And she said, yes, you will lose your hair. Started crying. So yeah, that's up until I was diagnosed. I now had to realize that I was now facing 6 to 8 months long intense schedule of chemotherapy treatments and like medications and spinal taps and lumbar punctures and hospitals. I didn't want it to be real. I didn't, but I was in shock. So it wasn't like I was believing it, but I also wasn't in disbelief. I was just like sitting there kind of like, what is going on? I am also facing 2 years of maintenance, and basically you go through your cancer treatments, and then you go through your treatments for however long you have to. It honestly just depends on what type of cancer you have. Mine is 6 to 8 months. Now it's 8 months as far as we know, and you could either, heaven forbid, relapse and have to go through another however long treatment plan. But if you do not relapse, but if you're cancer-free and you don't relapse, you go into a thing called maintenance, basically. And maintenance is a 2-year long process, which is basically once a month, so 24 hospital blood tests, which basically are to make sure that you're healthy and that your cancer didn't return. Yeah, so that's how I found out that I was diagnosed with cancer, and now I have to edit this 32-minute video. If you aren't subscribed already, subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video.